And which leads me to my next question to everyone here. So if it's possible and we can't really manipulate or force or kind of, we can't really contrive it. But if it were possible for you to gain $1 million asset in liquid capital within 2 years, do you feel that you're worth it? That would be my question. Do you feel that you are worth it? The What you are doing and what you represent. Do you feel like $1 million in a short amount of time like that? How do you feel that you would handle that? Do you feel, and this is not important for what anyone else thinks, do you feel that your value merits that return? Randy?
Yes, I do. And I do feel others are as well. Um, but it is interesting if everyone had X number of dollars and such, would inflation now start coming into effect? And the value of $1 million is not what we conceive of it today. So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, this is the part of where I do kind of wear rose-colored glasses. Um, but also I'd like to be grounded about this. I sincerely believe, my head and my heart and all my being, that every human being should have the basic survival needs taken care of. I think every human being should have food, clean water, um, and they should have their healthcare needs provided for. Just again, because I value humans, I don't think there that's beyond the capabilities of humanity today. Um, Now, in regards though to be grounded about that, are there some people that contribute more to society than others? So, like the easiest examples and stuff is the brain surgeon providing the same amount of value as the person who's, I don't know, gathering firewood for a tribe, or ditch digger, whatever it may be. Someone that has no schooling, no skill set per se. Anyone in the tribe could do that job. No, of course not. The person that is able to provide the health care, and that's a very specialized skill set, and it's a much more valuable skill set than something that everybody has. So that person should have, in some shape or form, um, power, prestige, possessions, whatever, or at least the opportunities and such to have more so than the person that's, again, just picking up trash and stuff. So, but yeah, lots of words to go there. Yes, I do. Again, I am very much valuable. Again, in myself, the work that I'm doing with easier ways and such, at the very least, I feel provides something that should be able to provide for myself and my family sustainability, the food, shelter, healthcare. I live in a society where I need an automobile as well. The kind of just the basics to do life. Um, and I have faith in regards to loss and compensation. I do believe I'm bringing out a service, something of value that I can be compensated for that will provide that.
Thank you, Randy. Follow-up question. I'm sorry, Jared. I just want to do a follow-up question with Randy, and then we'll go to you. Um, with with regard to your skill set, because the brain surgeon, that's a very specific skill set that hopefully, very few people will ever need. The person who chops the firewood, everybody needs heat to live. Would you say that your specialized, whatever it is, whatever value you see in yourself, would you compare that more to the brain surgeon or more to the one who is cutting the firewood?
You're good. Um, I believe I possess a skill set that is within every human being. I again, and anything that I do that is providing this value, I believe is an innate wisdom and a wellness that's with me, that is with all of us. 8 billion people possess this thing that I'm bringing forth. And if there's anything, what I'm doing is it's reminding people of that. Um, so for those that are financially inclined to recognize that and throw a few copper coins in my cup, kind of stuff, that's great. Again, I need to be able to sustain. I want to dedicate more of my hours. Right now, I have to work a typical 40-hour job. I sell motorcycle parts and such, and I'm barely above, I'm $5 above minimum wage here in Nevada and stuff. And I'm doing more than, again, my skill set to being able to help people find their parts and help them and make sure they get the right parts is a notch or two above flipping burgers. But also it's something, again, I just kind of gleaned by just doing the job long enough. I don't think, again, I should be um, compensated as the same as what I can do, where I can make somebody um, look in the direction within to see their self-worth, to see their value, to see their strengths that can be life-changing. There's something more, I don't know. Again, in my eyes, there's something more valuable to that than motorcycle parts.
Thank you, Randy. I'm going to plant this seed and then we'll go to you, Jared. I'm going to plant this seed in that just by participating in this conversation, in these conversations, what you're doing is you are contributing to the decentralization of central banking, the decentralization of banking. So that is, I know that's going to be a very high concept thing for someone just coming in contact with this for the first time. But yeah, the question arises then: those who are responsible for centralized banking, are they overvalued? And those of us here who are in this conversation, who are contributing to the decentralization of banking, are we undervalued? That's the question I will be posing to someone coming into contact for the first time with this material.
Yeah, and that's a yes.
Jared.
Yeah, Randy, when you brought up the brain surgeon and the person searching for firewood, and Mike, you hit the nail on the head with that because I was going to say pretty much the same thing. Both people have to be educated. What it comes down to that I'm picking up on for you, Randy, is that there is a value in education. There is a value in um, knowing that there is one person that can save one life at a time, and that person had to learn that skill, had to train with that skill. I'm going to tell you right now, my stepson is 19 and probably is not going to know how to gather the proper firewood to keep a need fire in the community going. My 10-year-old daughter is learning that through Scouts right now, as I'm relearning it as well along with her. There are These are all learned traits. If you gather a bunch of twigs, you're not going to keep a fire going. You're not going to know how to build that fire to keep it going all night. These are all comes down to education and experience, right? I could watch a ton of YouTube videos and learn everything about the brain, but until I have got a body in front of me cut open and a brain sitting in front of me, I'm not going to know what to do either. So there's this element of valuing experience just as much as um, the education that goes along with it. And anybody can learn how to crunch numbers. It's the experience that goes along with it that creates the uniqueness of that value. We're all spiritual beings, but not every one of us is ready to take on a role in spiritual leadership. That comes through experience. That comes through time. So, education, experience, and time, I think, are kind of some of those things that really rank that as well. And do those people deserve to be paid more? No, but I think that there is more responsibility that goes with that. Training others, teaching others, but it becomes, does that create community value? And that's, it's not necessarily a financial compensation, but what benefit does that create for the community? The uh, leader of the military eventually moves to a backseat view and is giving orders. That's through experience, but they're doing less. So there is this uh, sense of equality that goes in there. The soldiers who are getting ready to give their lives on the front line, we basically say that they're not valued. Those lives mean nothing, but the general's life does. Um, Maybe I'm rambling a little bit on that, but there's experience that needs to go along with that. And then it just changes. It doesn't mean you're better than anyone else. You just have more experience in what it is that you're doing. Your education has changed that, and education should be free. We've lost that as a community. We have found a way to monetize it and put value into that. Harvard, I'm sorry, not Harvard, Oxford. Here in the U.S., we look at Oxford like it's this crazy, it's top of the line, Ivy League, as we would call it. It's like Penn State. It's like IU. It's a state school. It's not prestigious or anything like that. It's just old and it's in a different country. So we think that it's something different. We have misplaced value. And because it has more experience, because it's older, but the education's the same. I could have gone to any culinary school in the world and learned the exact same thing. But instead I chose the one where I had the piece of paper that had something on it that said I did more or had value placed in somewhere else. Um, I don't know. Maybe I lost the train of thought on that, but rambling a little bit.
No, that's great. Learning, and we're learning more about you and your value, Jared. So I'll pass the question to you now. If you were to generate, just by participating in conversations like these, if you were to experience $1 million return, um, do you feel, would you feel like you would have earned it, or you would have, yeah, yeah, that you're worth it? Do you feel that you're worth it? Let's say that.
Well, my first thought is right there with Randy's. What's the value of that dollar at this point in time? What has inflation done to it that has changed it? Has it increased? Has it decreased? Also, there's this: why am I receiving it? What have I done? We have this connection to reward systems, um, rather than we deserve it because we're humans, and that's how our society responds. We we got to get rid of that. Trade and barter is where it's at, right? But I don't. I think looking at that question and that situation, and looking at the law of attraction and all these other things, because it stems into that too, is a, am I worth it? In the secret there, they was like, oh, it's your birthright to have this. It's all of this. And it's like, well, yeah, but other people may need it more. And we're conditioned to believe this and think that way. And that's kind of how I view that situation. How can I better use that money to serve the community if all of us are equal, if we all have them? But then that takes the value of that dollar away to begin with, because everybody has it. So why do we need it? Why are we not going back to placing value in things that we need on survival? So I don't know if I'm worthy of that, because we really don't need it when it comes down to the basic fundamentals. Um, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. It would help a lot right now. We can get the house repaired and everything.
Mhm.
But in a situation where everybody has that, then I'm probably um, making beer or preparing a meal or something for the person who's working on my house, because
Hmm.
maybe they value that because they don't know how to cook.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my response to that too, and especially with understanding macroeconomics and understanding inflation, is that what we have in place, we're not gonna get rid of the monetary system. That's not going anywhere. But it can serve as a measurement of how we are evolving, as a species. I think I said in the last recording material that to me, it's not so much about the money or who has the money or how the money is distributed. It's symbolic. There's law of correspondence right there. It's symbolic about how we are evolving from competitive, cultural tribalism into a collaborative, into a collaborative species that is evolving, continuously evolving. So that's what comes up for me in response to both you and Randy. Wondering, well, what's it going to do? Is it going to cause inflation? Um, mm, because we're still relying on this debt-based, extractive, competitive system. What the proposal is that we're changing it from within so that it becomes a new organism. You can't do that all at once, because there is so much resistance, so much of fear to that. But if it emerges one cell at a time, one conversation at a time, one person at a time who starts to understand that. That's why I don't charge for this material, because it's not a matter of convincing people anything. It's just a matter of understanding it on a deeper level. That's why to use the time bank or to be a part of the time bank it will never cost anything. If anybody wants to participate in the financial management of it, then that is a voluntary contribution of $25 for a 20 hours of service. And yeah, so that it's kind of like we're still relying on that competitive system. We're still relying on that fiat currency or that debt-based system as a crossover to starting to see each other as having more value, so that where we're going is kind of growing out of what is already there. We can't deny what is already there. Again, the financial system, the monetary system, it's not going anywhere. And the more we try to dismantle that, the more we're going to have upheavals and wars and exploitation. But yeah, being able to being able to become a new organism, one cell at a time, one conversation at a time. Um, it allows us all to evolve in our own time. So yeah, so it's not so much that the system is going to change. It's how are we going to change? It's like what you say, Randy. I can't think what is it? I can't think myself into a new way of being. I can only be myself into a new way of thinking.
Well, yeah, I can't think my way into a new way of living. I must live my way
That's
into a
it.
new way.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So it's kind of like working from the inside out rather than trying to impose something from the outside in. So Hemant, let's go to you. If you were to, all of a sudden come into this financial abundance, do you feel that you would be worth it, that your value merits it?
At first, my thought came to saying no, right? I've been thinking for a while. My mind is worth more than that, but I myself not worth it. It's a matter of, right, in perspective of knowledge and wisdom, I can say somewhat I'm there, but at the perspective level of a human being, right, on a whole, I'm not there. But after what Gerard said, it made me think, why not, right? Uh, Abundance comes to people who need it, right? When you are giving me something, it means might be that I need now, right? And I need the abundance right now. So I'm more than happy to take it. And the later conversation, reminded me what Gerard said, right? Some spiritual leader need to be there to guide us, or to at least spread the message. This is the thing I've been pondering for a while, right? We don't need to discover new things, right? Because there are already out there. We just need to, law of magnetism, right? We need to go out there and ask, right? What this conversation itself is propelling me towards the direction. Because the thought is Alex Hormozy. This is the thing I've been thinking for a while. The mission of experiential learning. This is his mission in providing the world. In fact, if you go to school.com, hey, by the way, I'm not promoting, guys. I'm just speaking my thoughts.
And it's okay if you do. It's okay if you
Hmm.
do want to. That's fine.
Yeah, because he is really out there on a mission to help others. It's mind blowing, right? I just got into school and I learned things which I never been taught in years, right? For 22 years. I just get in school, and for the 3 months, 4 months, I learned the things no one would have imagined that could be learned, because there are space out there who are ready to help others. It's matter of our acceptance, our willingness to go there and spend time with it. And at the same time, Alex Hormozy, like, people are always there, in my sense, because what you said, right? We cannot dismantle the system in a one day. This is the thing I've been thinking for a while. What if we dismantle the system in one day? It will be full of chaos, right? There is no system, there is no order. So people are searching for their order in their own way. Some of the ways are school and blockchain. When talking about blockchain, I got to remind of leaders like, hey, I'm hoping I'm spelling the name correct. If not, I might message you, Mike. Gary Henderson. There are certain leaders will say, certain leaders will do. He's the type of person who do it, right? You can just go into the school account, you can see his page. He's so active on it to help others. He charges $20 to learn blockchain, to teach blockchain to others. I'm been thinking, is it really he needs $20 to survive? No, he charges $20 for a year for the sake of to keep the place clean, right? He doesn't want everyone to join it and be inactive, but rather he wants some sort of eligibility test. This is the thing I've been having conversation with my friend. The thing I said is money is a eligibility test to someone. Some leaders, they think money as a eligibility test, but as you said, some commons live in a space where money is needed for their survival. And the leaders are out there not only to help people, but also nurture them to grow beyond their zone. Because my mentor, Brian Campbell, has done a lot of things to me, right? But when it comes to the matter of reciprocity, right, I'm not ready to accept the abundance he is willing to give me. And even I rejected the abundance he gave me once. It's a matter of heart, right? Willing to accept when given. That's what I've been thinking. Right? I'm willing to take it, Mike, if you're willing to give.
Yeah, and that's really no, what comes up, what's very alive for me as well too, is something I've been learning from my ministry colleagues as well too, is reframing this idea of giving and taking and changing that to being able to respond and receive. Because it almost like, when there is this, this give and take, it's almost like there is like a debt, or there is kind of like a deficit. But if you're receiving what somebody is offering to you, and you're able to respond, there's more of a reciprocity rather than kind of keeping score as to what is considered give and take. That's right, Jared. Yeah, an equal exchange of energy. That's one of the core values of time banking is reciprocity. All right, well, we are moving into our last 10 minutes, and I will have a hard stop at 7:30. But yeah, let me just kind of preview, where these conversations are going for the end of the month, and then we'll just do a checkout. So next week I'll be recording with the Eighth Flame Fellowship, doing the Law of Perpetual Transmutation of Energy. What that will be is we'll be re-looking at kairotic flow a little bit, and really how that helps with the implementation of universal basic income is just kind of changing the language now. We're learning how to see what we do in a different way. So there's 6 archetypes that we work on, and being able to understand where we feel most comfortable, where we feel most uncomfortable, will kind of help us with the flow in being able to start implementing universal basic income. Like, for instance, in the market, we call those archetypes pioneers and cultivators. They're people who like to go out and do new things and build new things, and they're expansive, and they're always trying to convince and sell and all of that. So those are 2 archetypes. Then we go into regulators and stewards. Those are the ones who kind of need more structure. They're more by the book. There's more lawfulness to it. We think of those people as being in the state. So there's a lot of of heavy structure and routine. Then we come out into the commons, and those are the curators and the scouts. And those are the people who are often kind of ignored, even though they're trying to bring in something new. They're trying to call attention to what's not working. The scouts are often compared to the shamans, the people who we think of as weird, but they're really just trying to clue us in on what's emerging and what's just not working anymore. So there's the perpetual transmutation of energy is kind of like how, from the scout and the pioneer's perspective, it's kind of like there's this air, this gas. It's like you can't grab onto it yet, but it's still an idea form. That's what this material is very much, right on that precipice of scout and pioneer, where we're trying to introduce something new. When you go into cultivator, it's more like liquid or water. So, there's where liquid capital is often, attracted as well. When you get into to regulator and stewards, that's when things are pretty solid. And that's kind of where we're at right now, coming out of steward into curator, where we're trying to break it back up into liquid form. That's why this time banking, this accounting system is kind of breaking up what is there more into liquid capital. So that's how I kind of see this time banking method as kind of like breaking that down a little bit more, so they can go back into idea form and then go through the cycle again. So we're going to be discussing that and just kind of helping the language and helping others find what they feel most of an affinity toward, and where they feel uncomfortable, so that we can change the conversation, so that we're using our strengths and being more respectful and nurturing of those who are outside of our comfort zone a little bit. So anyway, that's the way I kind of see that conversation going. And then we are all going to meet. I hope everyone here can make it, that on I believe it's December the 23rd, for the Law of Inspired Action, and that's where we're going to have an invitation conversation. So a lot of these conversations we've been having have been appreciation, possibility, and then when we go into Law of Inspired Action, which will conclude this series, I will have an invitation, and there will be 6 invitations that kind of correspond with each of the kairotic flow archetypes as to how we can all play a role in kind of leveling out the playing field economically and introducing universal basic income and helping create a more collaborative society. I think is what it comes down to. So anyway, that's a preview of what is to come this month. So before we go, why don't we just do a checkout? What did you appreciate most about tonight's conversation? So whoever would like to jump in, I invite you to jump on in. What did you appreciate most about what we talked about tonight? I'll start. What I appreciated most was kind of getting underneath the conversation about what we see as our value and how we perceive the value of others, especially people that we don't know. And I love that you brought back that analogy, that comparison back, Randy, about the brain surgeon and the one who are cutting firewood. What I'm really appreciating is that how everybody really does have a place. And we're not going to resonate with everyone, and not everyone is going to resonate with us. But being able to see and appreciate where everybody's at and where you find your joy, where you find your bliss. I really feel like that it's like just a puzzle that's starting to come together. So I'm really appreciating being able to go deeper into that analogy that you brought again here tonight, Randy. So thank you for that.
Well, for myself, I appreciated how Jared brought up giving me clarity of how I was defining the difference between one human's value and the other, and that being education, which actually is something I didn't express today, but that is also one of my highest values is education. Um, I love learning. I read books every day. Yeah, yeah. So, um, yeah, I don't know exactly the implications of what that is, that insight, but intuitively, I know what you shared with me, Jared, is going to be valuable for the coming days.
Thank you. I'm glad that resonated with you. It was, I hadn't. I mean, it occurred to me after you had made that comment, and I hadn't really thought about that because I always place the the value in that society. But it all, like you said, it all comes down to that learned experience. And my takeaway tonight and what I'm sitting with is the human aspect of all of this. Um, we all are here coming from different places, different economic backgrounds, sociological backgrounds, environmental backgrounds, and every one of us has the same core value of what we're trying to achieve and discuss and learn from each other from. It's presented in different ways. It shows itself in ways that make each of us think and reflect and come back to really look and reassess our own lives, my life anyway. Um, and I'm very appreciative of that. It's giving me something to reflect on and reassess where I'm placing my fehu, where I'm placing my value, um, and what that will look like tomorrow morning and the next day. So thank you, all of you.
And Hemant, what did you appreciate about tonight's conversation before we check out?
I appreciate for being here and allowing myself to speak my thoughts. And as Gerard said, I'm hoping I'm saying your name right, Gerard. Okay. Because these are the things I tend to never give energy to it. But let me start with something new. Yeah. I appreciate for every conversation I am having here and the space you are providing us to speak our thoughts. It's it's some sort of place we have never been out there, right? If we are talking with even our close friends, we may not open up these conversation and create some contemplation for our own, right? It's challenging our existing thoughts. At the same time, it doesn't create fear. It's creating a hope to a better tomorrow and next week, right? As Gerard said, it's making us to look forward to the next day, right? How we are going to proceed with the existing conversation and how the conversation shaped us will reflect in tomorrow's and in the future actions, right? That's what I'm more appreciative, and I'm looking forward to Randy book.
Randy's book. That's right.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This has been the Law of Compensation. This has been Unit 10 of the Natural Law and Regenerative Economy series. So I will have this recording up as soon as I can. And hope to see you all in a couple of weeks when we do Law of Inspired Action. And I'll have the recording for Law of Perpetual Transmutation of Energy out late next week.